Hello everyone. As you can see per the color of my outfit, I work for Amadeus. I'm part of the Research, Innovation and Ventures team. And today I'd like to talk about how innovation and new technologies can be leveraged to personalize trips, offer at destination content, remove friction, and overall deliver a much better experience for travelers. Why do people travel? Why do we travel? People travel to explore new countries, to meet old friends, to sign a contract, to marry a daughter, to bury a father, or to attend a conference. Travel is all about emotion. It is all about our hearts beating. And if you're not convinced, just sit in an airport hall and look around you. It's a very special business we're in. So we need to understand travelers. We need to understand their expectations, how they see the world, if we want to make an impact. And our travelers are much different than they were 15, 10, or even 5 years ago. Our travelers are digital consumers. They use Netflix, they use Amazon, they browse online. Their behaviors have changed. So what does that mean? Our travelers, like 2/3 of the world population, use internet. They go online, they buy books, clothes, music, films online. They use social media, and they actually spend more than 6 hours a day online using, on average, 6 different devices. So our travelers have changed. And if we think that it's only millennials, we're wrong. 41% of senior people are digital friendly. Digital friendly, huh? If I ask my grandmother to book my next trip, we might run into a few glitches. But the point is that people have changed their expectations, the way they see the world, the way they purchase. It has changed. And travel is no exception. So we need to do the same for travel. We need to provide a better and personalized experience. Our travelers want access anytime, anywhere. We cannot allow ourselves not to be mobile friendly anymore. Our travelers expect frictionless experiences. No hassle of standing in line, showing passport, showing the boarding pass, showing the different methods of payment. Our travelers, they don't want to wait. Especially our business travelers. How frustrating is it when you wait 45 minutes to go through security? When you have to queue 20 minutes to show your passport? And when you do this twice or 3 times a week. Our travelers maintain a digital version of themselves online. They're very active using social media, and they're not only consumers, they're also producing content. We call that prosumers. They are taking pictures, they share videos, they rate the different hotels, restaurants, and places they go to. They can monetize their cars, their houses, their time. Those travelers have changed. And although they tend to overexpose themselves, our travelers value trust more than anything. They are aware of forms of identity abuses, payments abuses, and basically any attempt to their reputation. So trust is essential to them. And they want to feel unique. They want to feel personally cared for. How frustrating is it when you enter a hotel for the 10th time and you're asked, "Hello, madam, is it your first time staying with us?" You should know that. Very frustrating. So they want to feel unique and personally cared for. Those travelers want the best for the cheapest price, and they know where to find it. let's take a look at a 10-year challenge. I'm sure you've seen on Facebook those 10-year challenge. So let's take a look at one. And relax, I'm not going to show pictures of myself 10 years ago. You don't want to see that. Okay, so just imagine you had a techno music, a techno beat, okay? Like this. Just watching the video. You know, you feel the vibe. And it goes on. So sorry, not as exciting, but hopefully it did the trick. So the world has changed so much in 10 years. What about us? Where were we 10 years from now? And most importantly, where do we want to be in 10 years? Innovation is what brought to life Uber, the iPad, Airbnb, and look how much they've impacted our lives. We need to do the same for travel. We need to innovate. And in order to make our customers, our partners happy, we need to identify. We need to focus on what they want, our travelers. And what travelers want sometimes, when you look in real life, it can be quite the journey. So at Amadeus, we have identified 3 innovation themes in order to provide travelers with a much different experience. Empowering travelers, looking at end-to-end, and looking at ways to remove friction. We have identified those 3 needs as universal needs for traveler. So let's look at what empowered travelers want. Travelers want to feel empowered. They want to feel personally cared for. They buy clothes, they buy books, they buy movies online, and they expect the same when doing travel. This means they want personalization. They don't want advertising for places that they've already visited. They want to be surprised. They want transparency. They want to know what's in and what's out of a package, and they want fairness in price. They want flexibility. They want the possibility to change their mind or to respond to a new constraint. They want speed on all processes. And they want continuity. They want the possibility to stop and resume any process, like a search, on any channel and any given device. And they want control. They want control over the data that they share, how that data is used, and they're okay with sharing data if they know that it will be beneficial to them. Today, during the pre-trip, there's still a lot of pain points. The information is fragmented, there's a lot of irrelevant ads. That question, should I book now? Should I book later? Will the price change? Which hotel would be best for me? Those are all the pain points. You haven't arrived at the airport. This is already the stress that you face. And then during the trip, it's the same. Will my flight be delayed? Will my bags arrive? That's always a very good question, waiting by the carousel and thinking, oh no, this is my turn. Looking at, will I be sitting with my family? Would I be sitting with my friends? Although I suspect a lot of parents do it on purpose. Separating the kids and not sitting together. I think sometimes it's done on purpose. What about security checks? So at Amadeus, we're looking at ways to better understand the travelers to improve conversion. And the problem is when we look at artificial intelligence and when we look at all the algorithms that exist, they're all made for the retail industry. And the problem is that, as you know, I'm sure, travel and retail are very different. In travel, brands have very few opportunities to interact with their customers. In travel, when you have someone on your website, how do you personalize when you don't know who they are? They are anonymous, they are infrequent. When Amazon is personalizing, it's easy. They have a customer profile. They know what you bought last December. Chocolates, cat treats, whatever it is. So they can personalize. But for travel brands, it's much more difficult. There are a lot of emotions involved when buying travel. Travel is expensive and it's a perishable resource. It's not a pair of shoes that you're going to keep. It's something that will evaporate, right? It will be your best memories, but you won't have anything tangible at the end. So as no AI algorithms exist for the travel industry, we have to come up with our own. So we are looking at the context. So why is this person traveling? We're looking at the user. So is this person a business traveler, maybe less sensitive to price? We're looking at the products, and we're applying very basic AI algorithms to more advanced state-of-the-art to combine all this and apply it to travel. So let's take an example. I'm traveling from Nice. This is where I was born. This is also a wonderful place to visit. But I'm traveling from Nice to Dubai. This is our traveler, computing, thinking in his mind, what price, what's the fastest, what should I book? I don't even know myself, so how can they know? So we're looking at information like geographic information, price, airline preference, price elements, fare families. So we're looking at all these ingredients, and we're also looking at the behavior of that user if it's online. How fast is the mouse moving? Digital native? Not so much. What is being typed? So the speed, but also, is that person entering Paris as an airport or Dubai? Or is that person entering DXB? If that person is entering DXB, there's a high likely chance that this person has been here before, maybe less sensitive to price. So all these information we can gather and analyze in real time. When a user is about to leave your website, annoyed because too much information, not finding the right offer, and so on, there are abandonment signals that is letting you know that this person is very likely going to end up on your competitor website. And this we can track, and we can push last-minute offers to avoid that behavior. So we're looking at all this, and we're applying this to dynamic pricing, to recommender systems. So what's the best package for me, backpack traveler on the weekend, and sorting. Because depending where you place your offer on the website, it has a huge impact on conversion, right? Let's take an example. So 20% of cases were able to predict the exact choice. So that might seem low, but that's 10 times better than if it was random. In 60% of the cases, we're able to predict a top 5 alternatives. Again, this is huge. The problem is that our models assume that human beings are rational, that we're selfish, that our tastes do not change. Do you think that's the case? Are we rational human beings? Not really, yeah? This is the list of cognitive biases that impact our daily choices, that impact our behavior, that impact the way we buy things, the way we buy travel. Let's take a look at one example. If I show you those two options, which coffee will you pick? A €2.50 coffee or a €3.50 coffee? $2.50, especially for poor coffee. Let's face it, Starbucks is not it's not the best coffee ever, but €2.50. Now, if I show you these options, I added a €5 coffee. Now, which one do you choose? The 350, because compared to €5, it's not so bad after all. Now I see a lot of you smiling, so do you remember the last time you went at Starbucks? Which option did you pick out of the 3 options? The second one, right? You'll think of me next time you go to Starbucks. But this is called the Decoy Effect. And this can be applied to the different websites. So in this case, we're using Kayak, but this is one of the techniques that we're looking at as ways to really improve conversion. And it works. In our value search product, we have up to 15% increase on conversion. The thing is, and I was listening to a CTO's talk a few weeks back, I think in travel, it's about 1,000 to 1. It takes 1,000 interactions, so looking at an offer, clicking, whatever, to book for 1. If you're able to increase that 1 to 250, it's already a pretty good number, no? What about hotel? What about location for hotels? In the US, we say location, location, location. Location is the number 2 factor when booking a hotel. After price, location is the most important factor for people who book a hotel. Now, the problem is that accommodation booking sites are not very user-friendly. We don't really know if we're booking a hotel which will fit our taste. I want to be by a swimming pool. I want to be by a cultural museum. I want to be next to the young or university area. What do? Amadeus has invested in a company called Avuxi, and what they're doing, they're mapping the whole world to look at preferred places. So they aggregate content from public geodata information available, and they create location knowledge. So how well is a place rated for you, depending on what you like to do? They have worldwide coverage and use over 60 different sources. So some people will tell me, yeah, but TripAdvisor sometimes is not very, very relevant, or this. They're using 60 different sources, so the accuracy is really high. For example, this is Kayak is one of their customers, and this is what the map looks like. If I tick sightseeing, the hotels in the red area will show up. This means those hotels are great if I want to go sightseeing. Now, sightseeing might be great for someone. If I'm going to Dubai, I want to be next to a mall. I want to be next to my conference, whatever it is. So you can change that criterion. You can pick eating, shopping, nightlife, and this color map will change. What if I want to go shopping? I mean, I'm guilty, huh? When I go to Dubai, I like to go shopping. So for example, that's the map. That's what the map looks like. What if I like luxury shopping? Oof, the map has changed. So this is what it looks like. What about the popular beach areas? So even though it might seem obvious that the beach is going to be by the water, those are the popular ones, and they have coverage all around the world. Neighborhood personalities. If you're going on a business trip, you don't want to stay in the young and student area, do you? You might want to stay in the business area. And what Avuxi provides is really a mapping of the city center, of the young area, of the multicultural, where's the beach, what's the active places. So they offer areas of interest, points of interest, location scores, neighborhood personalities, public transport maps, to really help travelers pick what's best for them. And they're used already by many different online travel agencies and meta searches. Flights and hotels can be booked in, what, a few seconds, a few minutes, with a credit card if you're on a website, or if you enter a travel agency, within minutes. But flights and hotels only represent 50% of the travel spent. The other 50% are spent in dining, transfers, activities, and the list goes on. The problem is that websites right now, the access, the content is very disparate and heterogeneous. You don't know where to find the information. The other problem is that there's no last minute. Those are not things that you want to book in advance. And right now, there is no last minute offers. My Little Adventure is a startup, actually, that aggregates content from OTAs and suppliers to create a destination activity platform. They use suppliers like The Fork, or La Fourchette, as we call it in France, One Park, Ticketmaster, Book a Table, and they offer, number one, the largest inventory in the world. So finally, that one platform where travelers can buy everything, from their transfers to their scuba diving lessons to going rock climbing, everything can be booked on that platform. Then they offer, thanks to machine learning, smart inspiration for travelers. So how do you feel like today? And what would be the best activity that fits really what you feel like today? And they also offered AI-powered guides. So same thing, can we list the top 100 things to do at destination? For travelers, well, as a traveler, I'm very happy. Finally, a one-stop shop and a lot of time saved browsing on hundreds of websites. It means a way to compare different prices, reviews. But what about partners? For partners, it means you increase the customer experience. It means you're able to increase the overall conversion rate. And it means you're also gaining more customer loyalty. But it also means that you get a new source of margin as you're getting a commission on each booking made. Now, it's a startup that we haven't invested in, but that we're helping grow. We're giving them access to our customers to help them scale. The cost of integration is zero. It's 2 lines of code that you copy-paste in your application. And they have white label, they have APIs, so feel free to check them out. Who recognizes themselves in this picture? I mean, I do, most of the time, and I did this morning, actually, coming here. Stress can take many forms in travel. From losing your bag, I see a bag here, so I hope it's one of yours. But from losing your bag to not being connected, to missing your connecting flight, down to the fear of flying. Did you know that 1/3 of the people who travel are scared to fly? Imagine the stress for these people. And travel, and stress actually in travel, has a very big impact. About 7 hours of stress per business trip. This means that the people are not focused working or looking after the customers because they're stressing out. In terms of financial impact, we're talking about $662 per trip. And if you're leisure, it means a problem on the brand. If I book my trip in your travel agency and I miss my connecting flight, I get stuck at security, they lose my bag. At the end of the day, what do I remember? I remember that I used your travel agency to book that trip. And that's the problem. This is, how do we want to call him? Pete, Frank, Nick, maybe Nick would be a good name for him. That's Nick entering his login information ID, passport information, and payments during the search. Quite neutral. This is Nick arriving at the airport, checking in. Nick has, once again, to enter all that information. Okay, well, I'll enter my ID, I'll enter my passport information once again. He's excited, he's okay, he's going on vacation somewhere. That's Nick at backdrop. Ooh, I'm asked for my passport again, I'm asked for my credit card again. Okay. Security. Oof. Again and again and again. Travelers are asked to enter their personal information over and over again. Just imagine yourself having to do that on Amazon, Alibaba, having to enter that information 6 times. How would you feel? I think in 2018, there were 4 billion travelers. 4 billion people entered an airport and hopped on a plane. This number is expected to double by 2035. We're expecting 7.2 billion travelers. Airport capacity can increase to some extent, but they cannot double. We need to facilitate the process at airports, in airplanes, and the list goes on. At Amadeus, we came up with an innovation management solution to store your identity in a safe manner and to make sure that we can really facilitate from the moment you log in to the booking, checking, going through security, boarding, and so on. Did you see last year there was a Lufthansa flight in Los Angeles that boarded an A380 plane in less than 20 minutes? Do you see that? It was with Amadeus. This was with one of the tests we did. So using facial recognition for boarding. On the long term, we're thinking of using facial recognition for checking in a hotel. Using the blockchain to store your payments and your personal information in a safe manner and allow the different travel players to share that information safely. This could save us hours traveling. This could increase security, as we know that these requirements are becoming increasingly important. And this is GDPR, as the traveler is able to know which information he or she gives access to and how it's being used. And for travel players, it means a way to personalize and a way to know what our travelers want. Because that information, again, you gave to the different travel players. So gaining time, gaining security. I mean, I'm all for this. So these solutions will exist for sure. Now the question is, how can we be part of this? So we talked about the different innovation themes that we came up with, from empowering travelers to removing friction to offering end-to-end. And it's true that we're also looking at many different trends. So digital consumers, of course. We're looking at artificial intelligence and the impact it can have on operations in airports, on personalization when we're talking about travelers. We're looking at Internet of Everything. So maybe you saw in the news, Amadeus has partnered with Sigfox, the leading IoT company, to do asset tracking, platform economy, and how potentially we could be part of this, and mobility. So not only mobility and travel, but rethinking really the way cities are organized. And to do so, we are first leveraging internal strength. So at Amadeus, as you can imagine, we sit on a mine of data. So we started by building an AI research team made of data scientists and PhDs, applying the latest advancements in AI, looking at exploratory research. And I can give you an example actually on this one. They looked at a technology called GAN, Generative Adversarial Networks. I have some technical people in the crowd. This technology right now is used to compute thousands of pictures and create a fake picture. So for example, I take a picture of everyone in the room. I create a fake one. This person will look like you and I. So the person looks real. But the person does not exist. The person has all the properties of a real person, but does not exist. This technology is applied to music, computing thousands of songs and creating a fake song. Well, this technology is applied now to PNRs. We are able to generate fake PNRs that have all the same properties as real PNRs. And for our engineers who right now with GDPR struggle, it can be a way to protect that information because the PNR does not hold any data information. This PNR is scalable. This PNR can be shared externally. So sometimes they come to me and they're like, oh, Julia, look, I have this new technology. And I look at them and I'm like, great for pictures, but how are we going to apply this to travel? But this is what they do. They think out of the box and they find ways and they find new technologies and how those can impact travel. GDPR, I mean, being based in Europe is a big deal. We're talking about payments. We're talking about credit cards information. This technology, GAN, can be applied also to payments. So anyway, AI research. Then we have a team of innovation management experts able to help internally our innovators use the latest methodology and really innovate internally. So how can we move fast? How can I go through the innovation lifecycle? How can I show a proof of concept to a customer? How do I learn from that? So we have really a team looking at this. And then we have a team looking at Horizon 3 innovations. Have you heard of the different Horizon methodology? 1, 2, 3? Nope. So it's a way to categorize innovations. If I talk about Horizon 1, I'm talking about pretty incremental innovations. No radical change. It's a way to stay relevant in the market. If I talk about Horizon 2, I'm talking already about a bit more disruptive technologies with at least one radical change in the business model, the customer segment, or the technology. And if I talk about Horizon 3, we're not going on Mars, but almost. We're talking about at least 2 radical changes. And of course, we're talking about high uncertainty. But we're also talking about high impact. If we want to transform our businesses, this is where the real innovations are in Horizon 3. So we have a team looking at those very disruptive technologies and how they can be incubated internally and externally. But we are well aware that innovation doesn't come in isolation. The best innovations have come in partnership with the outside world, with startups, with developers, with collaborators, and this is what we're doing. 4 years ago, we started a startup investment program internally. So it's been 4 years. We've invested in 10 different startups that sit at the crossroad of travel and technology. 10 startups that are now valued at over 1 billion euro. Amadeus for developers. So I'm sure you saw last November at Focusrite, we launched our open API platform to give access to developers, startups, of our own APIs, a way to sell and to really scale our APIs differently, and a way potentially to be part of the next unicorn business. So the world is changing. I've talked about 2 startups. I talked about 2 projects or 3 internally, but there are innovations every day. NDC is an innovation. When we moved to TPF decommissioning, it was an innovation. Innovations happen in our daily life, so we need to be open to receive them. We need to be tolerant, and we need to adapt. because it's happening. So I'm delighted to be present at ATM, to network with all of you. And I hope you've enjoyed this presentation despite the technical issues. But please check that video, the air travel in real life. It's really hilarious and it takes 3 minutes. So thank you very much. And if you have questions, I'm more than happy to answer those questions now. Thank you.
Can you delve into the Horizon 3 kind of radical projects? And I'd also like to know how you tackle a very simple thing like discovery for travel.
Okay. So first part of the question first. So I was asked about one example maybe of a Horizon 3 innovation. Right now, when you leave your house to travel somewhere, you have your device, you have probably a smart car, your device knows where you're going, at what time, and so on. What we've come up with is an innovation pushing the right service at the right time. For example, IoT enabled. So for example, I enter in my vehicle. My device, my smartphone, is connected to my car. My device knows that my flight is at 10:50 and that it's 9 a.m. So I'm maybe a bit late. The car is able to push for a valet service. Hey, Julia, would you like a valet service today? It's a robot's voice. And voice enabled, I could respond yes or no. If I respond yes, GPS is automatically updated and it takes me directly to the valet services of the airport. I drop off my car, I enter the airport. Hey, Julia, since you're a bit late, would you like to purchase a fast track to go through security quickly? So here it's maybe not voice, or at least you will look a bit weird if you respond, yes, please book. Maybe you would like to text. And the list goes on. So it's about really facilitating the life of travelers. We're targeting both business and leisure. And it's really a companion that would be helping you, reducing stress. We're thinking about eating habits. I travel 60% of the time. To stay fit, I need first to make sure I'm not eating like a monster, but I need to work out all the damn time. If an app could tell me, Julia, you have 4 hours until your next meeting, go to the gym, it could help me as a business traveler to keep somehow a good health. So we're thinking about really a way to accompany travelers. So that's question one. It's one example. So we're working on 5 different projects. Question 2, when we think about discovery, we offer what we call innovation as a service. So when you work with companies like the largest, let's say the big fives or those consulting companies, they offer services on how to innovate. So we're basically using the same approach. We're co-innovating with customers. Because sometimes customers come to me and they say, listen, I have this problem, I don't know what to do about it. And unfortunately, my portfolio not always answers to that. So we get in a room with customers, we start using a lot of methodologies of discovery, how we can ideate, and we spend 2 days understanding what the pain point is and what the pain point really is, not what we think it is, what it really is. So working together with innovation experts, people who know all these different methodologies, and then after those 2 days, we have somehow an idea of where we need to move forward to. And then if the customer is interested, which is usually the case, we do design sprints, development sprints, and we really work on a proof of concept and on an MVP, so a minimum viable product, that we can test. It will work, it won't work, that happens, it's innovation. Out of 100 projects, 1 is gonna work, and it's okay, because otherwise you're not innovating. But then it's a way for them to test a tangible, potentially solution. That answers? Great. Do I have another question? Yep.
Yes, we met. So you spoke about a couple of platforms where you talk about hotel content, where you can able to segregate them as such. You also spoke about super PNRs or creating fake PNRs as such. Get that. Now, being in the online business, we do connect with multiple bed banks. We have mappings of hotels and stuff like that. We have all those things connected together. How do I connect that? Because is this GDS dependent, or Is this completely agnostic where we just get the complete hotel mapping done together and we, how does it function?
Completely agnostic. So
Completely agnostic.
Move away. It's GDS agnostic. It's literally, and people don't believe it, it's a copy paste of 2 lines of code. It's really a copy paste of 2 lines of code. They have white label, they have APIs, so for startups, and actually we're integrating them, so Avuxi, in our open API platform. So soon we'll have APIs for Avuxi. But it's 2 lines of code, and I can put you in touch with the team, absolutely.
And when you spoke about face recognition,
Yeah.
how many airports have adopted it as yet? I mean, anything has been
How
adopted
many?
anywhere?
Sorry?
Airports or airlines have adopted
So
it?
we're really building what we call proof of concepts right now, because there's a lot of streams. So there's facial recognition for check-in, so at airports, at hotels, and so on. So we're testing with airports. The Los Angeles airport was an example, but we're also looking at frictionless payments. How we could store that payment information and pay instead of having to show your credit card all the time, maybe having an identity, a payment identity that could be part of your mobile phone. So we're also thinking about this. So there are many different, let's say, tests that we're doing. But for the moment, it's proof of concept with airports, with airlines, with business travel agencies, and we're really involving all the different players. I'm going to be here all day at the Amadeus stand. I'm happy to answer questions, maybe to ask questions too on how you do business, your day-to-day, what are the pain points, how we could collaborate. So come by the stand. We can have a discussion. There's a lot of very competent Amadeus people willing to answer too. So let me know if I can help. And thank you very much for attending. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. But you know, in life, it's not about what happens, it's about how you react. I'm not going to say a bad word because I'm recorded, but things happen. It's a matter of how you deal, right? So thank you very much, and I hope to see you later. Thank you.